So whether you're new to Pilates or whether you've been doing it for quite a while, these are 5 mistakes you must avoid. Number 1 is moving too fast. So this is quite a common problem I see in a lot of my classes. People move too fast because they want to do the exercise harder. They want to get more from the workout. But actually what it does is it negates a lot of the movement. So in Pilates, we have 6 principles. They're like the fundamentals of Pilates. And we negate every single one of them if we're moving too fast. So number 1, that first principle is concentration. We can't focus, we can't concentrate if we're moving too fast. Number 2 is control. We can't control that movement if we're moving too fast. Number 3 is centering. We've got to stay centered, we want to stay postured, keep that form, and again, it's just gone when we start moving with too much pace. Number 4, precision. This is about all the details of the movement, so all the precision of the movement, the form essentially. This is gone again if we start moving too fast. 5 is breath. We want to start breathing with the movement, and again, we can't breathe with the movement if we're moving too fast. Number 6 is flow. So this is flowing through the exercises, flowing through the routine, building that flow into our practice. And again, we can't move with flow if we're moving too jerky, moving too fast. I want to caveat that a bit with the fact that we can move with some pace, but if we start moving too fast and it gets jerky and jarring, then we just lose all of these fundamental principles. So let's make sure that we're moving with these principles, not moving too fast. The second mistake to avoid is expecting big muscle growth. So Pilates can be quite helpful for toning the body, toning the muscles in the core especially, but also in like other muscles of the body, which you might not expect. But some people come into it expecting big muscle growth, and that is something to avoid, because if you do that, then you're going to be expecting too much. Pilates doesn't give you big muscle growth. It can tone the body, so it can give you that aesthetically if you like that, but it's just not going to build that big muscle growth, so don't expect that. The third mistake to avoid is over-tucking the pelvis. This is really common. I see this a lot in classes, especially in people who've been practicing for a long time, because they start overcompensating for when we say to go to neutral. So when we go to neutral and we engage that pelvis, get that engagement in the center. Some people go too far and actually over-tuck. So seated. So it's really important that we train that right from the get-go. We don't want to train with that overcompensation, because then we're going to build it as like a habit with our practice. We can train ourselves out of it, but you're just better off training it the right way from the get-go. The fourth mistake to avoid is incorrect form. So remember I mentioned that 4th principle of Pilates, which is precision. This ties into this. So precision is about form, it's about the details. We want to make sure we're doing everything bang on in Pilates. If we start training with incorrect form, then we're going to set bad habits, and then it's going to be harder to retrain ourselves and get out of those habits. So let's always be moving with correct form. Make sure you find an instructor, someone who does go through that with you, even if you're doing it online as well, or through sort of YouTube videos and whatnot. Just make sure you're always moving with correct form. And the 5th mistake to avoid is sacrificing alignment to complete a set. So this happens a lot. People are kind of pushing themselves through it. I think it's quite common in yoga as well. People will try and force themselves into like a harder pose or like a harder exercise, even though they're sacrificing the form and then nullifying like any of the benefit that they get from that exercise. So it's really important to remember that we can always dial it back a bit. We can go for an easier variation. In yoga, it would be like an easier stretch. So whenever I teach classes, I always offer like an easier variation if there's like a more challenging exercise that people will struggle with. Or you might just want to start with more beginner workouts, shorter workouts, and build yourself up. If you find that you're feeling like you're sacrificing form, just address that, clock it. Make sure that you're going to easier variations or easier workouts, or just spending a bit less time in the workout so you can do a shorter workout. That brings this video to a close. Those were the 5 Pilates mistakes you must avoid. So if you enjoyed that video, or if you want to check out some of my other workouts, then feel free to subscribe, or maybe drop a comment if you have a question. That's absolutely fine. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And yeah, that's it. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you soon.